But let's talk about some more lighter stuff.
Yeah, more fun stuff.
So Brian hasn't seen this list. The 8 most Googled questions for real estate in 2023. Ready? So I'll ask the question, let Brian answer, then I'll chime in. So number 1, should I buy or rent?
Well,
keep it pippy.
If you need to buy a home, if you want to live in a certain area, you need to get in that area. So if you've got a family, you've got kids in particular, you might need to rent or buy to get into this certain market. So really it's a personal question. Should you buy or rent? If you can afford to buy and you want to have the housing, the longevity in your home for your family, you would want to buy, right? If you rent, you're at risk. Every 12 months you're going to have to renew your lease or you're going to have to move again. So personal question, I would say buy, but you might not be able to buy as much as you want in a price, which might not put you in the neighborhood you're looking for right now.
So my take on this is very simple. Make sure you can afford it. And if you do buy, make sure that you can afford that mortgage for a long period of time. And make sure that it just makes sense financially speaking. I mean, it has to make sense so that you can withstand a drop in the market, because we're thinking that there's going to be a slowdown. You don't want to be caught stuck in a house. But long term, if you have a long-term view, you'll be fine.
Well, that goes back to the payment. Afford the payment before you buy.
And keep in mind, another thing is 0% or 100% when you're renting. You're paying 100%
interest.
Yeah. So you're not building any equity, but make sure you can afford it. What type of home is right for my budget?
What type of home?
That's
What's
right.
Your budget?
Yeah, it kind of comes down to what your budget is. If you're going to come down, if you need a condo, or maybe you need to start with a starter home. A long time ago, we all started with starter homes.
I did.
So sometimes you got to buy something that's a little less, make sure it's in your budget, and then have a long-term 5 to 7, 10 years, and everything will work out.
Yeah, I remember my first house was a townhouse, and I was so happy I didn't have to cut the grass because they did it for me. But it was a small little place, and it was a jumping point.
So sometimes you have to do a starter home, and then long term, get that dream home in 7, 10, 15 years.
Work your way up.
Work your way up. Should I buy an old or new home? And this is actually pretty relevant to Nevada.
Absolutely.
New or old?
How handy are you? Old houses are going to need fixing, and if you really want to fix up a home, an old home could be a great option. Property taxes are way lower on an old home, though.
So we have a great video about why that is. We're not going to go into it detail here, but just keep in mind that we have a depreciating schedule for property taxes here. So if your house is older than 30 years old, you're going to have a significantly less tax base assessed value. And then it kicks in the depreciation off that. So if you buy a new home, you're probably looking at 1.25% of the sale price. So if you're buying $1 million home brand new, you're talking $10,000 a year. So
well, if you bought $1 million home that's 50 years old, it might be $1,500 a year.
It might be, yeah, exactly. So keep that in mind. That's something. But also you got to be able to fix things, because the thought is that they depreciate over time because houses need work after 30 years. They need a new hot water heater, they need new flooring, new windows, roof. So the thought is that as you get further out, you have money, you pay less in property taxes, but you reinvest and redo your house.
So that's what the local government thinks with that depreciating process.
That's what
awesome.
Originally what was planned. So how can I find my home's market value?
I think that's a question for you.
You
don't have to like my answer.
I mean, you can go on Zillow to get an idea, but if you have a specialized home, if it's not just a cookie cutter home, probably should call a realtor.
Yeah, you could always use that $300 a square foot estimate, right? But you need a professional.
Yeah, so you need to basically pull comps based on the last 6 to 9 months. Make sure you're looking at same square footage, same age, and make sure you're in the same neighborhood, because comparing a house in Sparks to Carson City, it's not going to get you where you want to go.
Well, the reality is it's worth what somebody's willing to pay you.
That's true.
Today.
Yeah, so usually we give a range, so if you want more information on that, text, direct message us, leave a comment below, and we'll get you a full home evaluation if you're interested in that. Cool. Here's a good question. Number 5, is the housing market slowing down?
Yes. Straight up. I mean, supply and demand is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of supply, so there's been, I would say, waning or slowing demand. At the
Because of
same
why?
time,
Why is there less demand, honestly?
interest rates is the number one. I mean, 60 to 70% of homes are financed. There are still people that pay cash, but since 70% of homes need financing, the interest rates have a direct effect on people's likelihood to move forward and buying a home.
So we have people who are at 2%, 30-year fixed mortgage, so they can't move because the rates are at 8, over 8, right? 7.
They can move. They just would really, really need that.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's only and then the people who are buying are facing 8%. So not a lot of inventory, not a lot of buyers. So naturally, the market's going to slow up, correct?
And if you sold your house that was at 2% and you're paying 8% on the next one, I mean, you quadrupled your payment.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense right now. So until they figure that out, the market's going to continue to slow. Be careful how you enter this because we want people to still watch our podcast. Is the market about to crash soon?
Crash. So the crash happens, back to supply and demand, when you have too many people trying to sell and not enough people trying to buy. So I remember the crash of 2008 because it was not much fun.
This is good. This is good.
So people were selling houses that they had no business selling because they didn't have permission to sell it. They had to literally go ask their bank, hey, will you take $100,000 less for my home? So the supply was really heavy with homes that had no ability to sell without a third party's input. So that was a crash that was very unfortunate for a lot of people. I included in being highly impacted by the housing crash of 2008. I can't imagine there's going to be a crash unless there's a large group of people that want to sell and not a lot of people that want to buy. So till we get quadruple the inventory, I can't imagine there's going to be a major
right
change.
here. That was excellent. So that was excellent because what happened when the crash happened is a lot of people had bought houses that were going up $10,000, $20,000 a month, literally
On
$50,000
adjustable rate mortgages too.
Yeah, and then in 2007 we hit a high of 365 median home price, and then in 2009 in January we hit a low median home price of 135.
It was 135.
135. That's right. So their foreclosures are at record lows. Why is that? 40 or 90% of people in Washington County have mortgages less than 4%, so they can still afford their mortgage because it's really low.
And they're on a 30-year fixed.
So they're not going to move.
There's almost no adjustable rate, so they at least have a guarantee of the payment.
Yeah. So could there definitely be a correction of 10 to 20%? Yes.
Sure.
Could there be? I would be surprised if there's going to be a 40, 50, 60% drop in our market because we're still a destination people want to move to, and people are in good shape financially speaking on their homes because of the low rates that they're locked in. And these questions are tough. These are good questions. Number 7, why are home prices so high still?
I mean, there's the supply and demand thing once again. There's not enough supply to force the prices down. So as long as there's a steady supply of homes, but not enough to oversupply the demand, we're going to keep high prices.
Yeah.
If you want to consider these high, go to California and then come back and see me.
Yeah, so high prices are going to stay around, just supply and demand. Bottom line is that there aren't enough sellers. There are still people who need to buy housing in our area. So, last question. Man, these are tough questions. Number 8, last one. When will the housing market improve?
When interest rates drop, probably. Well, I don't know. That would probably just make it more difficult, to be honest with you. If interest rates drop, now you got more people, the demand picks up, and do we have more supply to fill the void? Because if there's not enough supply, then you still have higher prices to come.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what you want as improved. You want lower prices? It kind of depends on what side of the fence you're in.
Well, if you're a first-time buyer, you want the prices to drop 20%. That would be a great opportunity, right?
Right.
Because you'll get a lower price and effectively, ideally, a lower payment. If you already own a house, you want the opposite to happen. You want your house to stay high and keep going up. This is assuming that you have a short-term outlook on when you're going to sell it.
So that's right. So this is a great lesson right here is You can't time the market. So if you need to buy a house, what we recommend is, we always recommend, is getting into a house that fits your budget for now, having a long-term, if you have a 7 to 10 year horizon, you'll be fine. If you were, like several people of our clients were doing, what they were buying in the last 10 years and it was going up 20% a month for 12 to 15 months, then you could flip that house. So that's kind of gone to the wayside.
Well, that's
If
like-
you have a long-term horizon,
Yeah.
you can buy, make sure you can afford the payment, and then you'll reap the benefits long-term. So bottom line, that's...
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to pick stocks. I mean, if you have a long-term horizon, it's a lot different than if you're hoping to flip it in 6 months or 18 months or whatever. If you're buying a house to live in, plan to live there a while. That's the number one advice.
So, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We're going to try and do it. We were both sick, so that's why we kind of pushed it out to a couple weeks. There's a nasty cold going around. But if you want to know about the market, we would love for you to check out our channel. We have lots of great content. We have some shorts that we're doing. We're going to launch an educational campaign here in the fall where you can learn about how to use the assessor, how you can get your home homesteaded, how to get the recorder notifications set up, how to get a trust. All that's on our channel. Check it out. Send to your family and keep watching because our views are going up.
Subscribe and thumbs up.
So, all right, until next time, you guys have a good Halloween, and we'll look forward to next month when we come back. Take care.
Take care.